Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Blessings to everyone. So today I'd like to say something about the self and the different selves that are, from our perspective, are important and important to understand. Well, the first one is what we could call our personality. And that personality is divided in two aspects. Into a conscious aspect that is not really conscious in the absolute sense, but we will come to that, and into an unconscious that is in the sense unconscious, which means there is a lot of things operating on a level below the control of thoughts. We don't know what we are, the reason why we react on certain things, or we don't even know which emotions are actually given to us by the field around us, or which thoughts even are given to us by the field around us. What is called manipulation, for example, that there are thoughts are induced on us together with emotions that are originally not ours. So many conclusions we are doing are the result of an information that is given to us, or that our people want to give to us. So that means it's not your own initiative to think that way, for example. Very important. So one question there would be, for example, when you think certain conclusions, when you make certain conclusions, is it me that actually does these conclusions? Is it really my theme? Is it really my subject? No? So in this so-called conscious self, there can happen a kind of awakening. That means you become conscious on your own situation, on your own decisions, on your own intentions. That's the beginning of awakening. And the subconscious self is starting to come in the conscious self by observation, by starting to detach from your past drama, from your past concepts, how, for example, our parents should love us, or other people should love us, how they should understand us, this kind of concepts that we are running behind to fulfill them. And usually this is what people think that is their self. And now comes another self that usually it is not really in the sight of people. And we call it the angelic self. Or the angelic self is something that brings us into contact with presences that we are usually not aware of it, and that only a few people, in fact, can perceive and are in contact with. This angelic self is a link between the higher self and our personal self. And why do we need that link? Because people have this idea, most people have that idea, that our higher self is belonging to us. It is just a higher octave of our ego self, of our personality. It is a purified version of our personality, which is not the case. Our higher self doesn't belong to us. Our higher self is a self. It is not belonging to anybody individually. It represents the entire humanity at every time, even before this humanity, and it will be before after this humanity. This is the self. So there is not a self that you can reach, that you can call your higher self, that is yourself. That higher self is free from me, is free from I want this, or I need this, or I shall be this. It is free. So anything that is sitting inside of us saying I am this or that, I need this or that, that cannot be converted into your higher self. Yeah. There is not such a thing of a higher self as on a personal level. The same thing is with the consciousness. There is not your consciousness or my consciousness. There is a consciousness. And this is the divine consciousness. This is the consciousness that shines on us, from every part of this universe, from behind any visible thing, from behind anything we can think or we can even feel. So there again, there is not your or my consciousness, but there is your and my awakening. That is an individual thing, and awakening doesn't mean that you are in contact with the self. This we would call enlightenment. Now, there's quite a number of awakened people, or let's say in the process of awakening, in different states. But there is a few numbers, very few numbers, of enlightened people that are in their self, in the self that is not our self, as we feel now, myself, yourself. So the angelic self is a self that prepares us when we come in contact with it. It prepares us and it actually purifies us from this lower self, the personal self. We cannot stay in the self with our lower self. So the angels have this very, very strong aspect of purifying us, energetically purifying us from attachments, for example. You cannot stay there and say, I want to be with myself in this reality. There is no place for myself or any self there. So for this reason, when they want to communicate with us in our self that we have now, basically our daily self, they come to us. They come down to us, and this is the only way we can communicate with them. Because in their reality, only people can come there that are free from attachments to their thoughts, to their emotions, to their body. They have to be already very, very far. And that is the moment where they can reach to this reality. So everyone who thinks that he is already in an enlightened state because he speaks with angels or they speak with them, that is not the case. This is just something that they are ordered for certain people to bring the messages or to comfort them, or to also educate them, to warn them, for example. Angels often come also as warners. Yeah. Another aspect why it is not easy to meet them in their reality is because of their sheer size, of their sheer dimensions that they have, that they are gigantic and not easy to digest. Yeah, not easy to really integrate in our normal consciousness. Okay. So for me, the most important is to close and to make it clear what the self, the higher self is. There's so much misconception on it. And it is one of the most important points to understand. So, because if you think your higher self is yourself, you think always of a better version of yourself. There is not a better version of your personal self. There is an awakened version. There is a conscious version, but there is not a better version. The better version does not exist in the self, in the higher self. It's a divine self. It's a self that contains all the selves, that contains your mother, for example, if she has passed away, or not passed away, that contains everyone that is around us, that contains the whole humanity. Okay? This is the self where we are one, where we are together. And it's a timeless self, yeah, that is more around us than in us. And the same will happen when you travel, for example, into another sphere. You will not travel with this physical body, because this physical body is very limited to a certain point and cannot travel in higher spheres, yeah, as it is too small. It cannot carry the higher aspects to this reality in a body. So also our body, for example, is not our body. Yeah. It is a given body for a certain time, but it has no ownership. We are not in the ownership of our body. Yeah. So to say my body is not really a good thing. You have a body that you should take care. See it more like a temple, that you are allowed to be in this temple, and you should take good care for the temple, because this is what we do with temples or with mosques or with synagogues, churches. These are actually is our body. Our body is a temple, yeah. But it is not my body or your body. Therefore, it says in the tradition, it is not you breathing. You are breath. You are, it is breathing through us. And the numbers of breath in our tradition, we say that is precisely noted, that what makes our lifespan is the number of breath. And that cannot be changed. Yeah. For this reason, we give such an importance of breathing. Yeah. Because through the breathing, you understand there is something higher that is actually the self that breathes through us. This is not easy to digest in the beginning, because the ego can only exist with identification. And the more and more identification goes, the more you need to shift the wish of security to another level also. Yeah. See, the ego has this wish to stabilize, to feel secure. but it never happens, because it cannot happen there, as it is not a stable concept. It is not in itself a reality. And that takes time to shift, to go on from a very hard identification, which most people have with their thoughts, with their emotions, with their body, with their whatever it is, with this world, to less and less and less. Yeah. And this process of less and less and less is called awakening. Yeah. And when then the new manifestation, when that process of awakening has been reached to a certain point, then it is up to the divine itself that says, I'm giving my light, I'm bringing my light to whom I want. Yeah. That is not up to us. There's not something that we have an ownership also on it. Yeah. There is not a guarantee of enlightenment. You can awaken. That is your process, and this is that's why in Buddhism it is so centralized as a theme, so important. No, but you cannot, in that sense, give yourself enlightenment. Yeah. As there is not a self that can make any decisions in that sense. Yeah. Not on these points. So you cannot extend your life, for example, by yourself. You should not stop your life by yourself. That is considered to be forbidden, even if that you can do it at least a physical point. Yeah. But it is for this good reason not advised, and it is considered to be a sin, right? So I hope this gives a kind of clarity, because it is needed, as we are bombarded permanently from all these teachings, do this, do this, do this, and your third eye will open and this will open, and this is not happening unless you understand that there is a self and not myself or yourself. Thank you very much. May Allah always bless you and protect you, especially in those times, and all the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.